Hello and welcome to The Art of Being Human. We've been talking about personality and we've been talking about different types of personality theories. And there are just so many personality theories that it's impossible to cover them all. Some of them are legitimate, some of them are not legitimate, but people keep at it. Now, I'm going to just ask you a question. Do you ever class different people's personality in your own mind? I think you probably do. And I think you probably classify them according to their traits, which is why we have that trait theory of personality. You classify them according to whether you like them, whether they're nice, whether they're not nice, whether they get angry easily, whether you want to stay away from them because they are angered so easily, whether you want to be with them because you like their personality. And here again, what is their personality and what is it about your personality that you like? Well, it might be that they have nice traits. It may be that they're friendly, that they're kind, that they care for people, that they do good things. There's all kinds of ways to classify. So today I'm going to finish the classing people according to whatever, and I'm going into W.C. Sheldon's theory of personality, and he bases his theory of personality according to body type. Now, I think a lot of people tend to do that. They assume that if you're tall and thin, you have a certain kind of personality. If you're short and heavy set, you have a certain kind of personality. So people look at you and they look at your type, and your body type, whatever it is, and they just assume that you have a certain personality that goes along with that body type. That's what Sheldon did. And Sheldon took, and this has been used a lot, I don't think it's used much anymore, but it has been used a lot. He classified people according to their body type. So if you look at this chart that I have here, you can see the three body types that he used. There are the endomorphs, the mesomorphs, and the ectomorphs. And that's what he called them. This is a very, very old theory, but this is what they are. So the endomorph is heavy set. They have a kind of a round, soft body. This is according to him. I'm just telling you what he would say. They are a round, soft body, and they're friendly, and they're conventional. They tend to be insecure, and they tend to eat too much. Otherwise, why would they be so heavy set? The mesomorph is basically a muscular kind of person, and they have a lot of muscle and a lot of bone. They're adventurous, they're energetic, they're direct in manner. You would expect that they would be a sportsman or involved in sports in some way. I get a kick out of the head. And when you get into the endomorph, that's the tall and thin person. You can see how thin and how elongated the head is. Now, of course, this is just a representation, but the ectomorph has a thin frame. They're sensitive, they tend to be fearful, they tend to be nervous, and they're not adventuresome, and they worry a lot. These are the three kinds of people. And I know that when I was younger, they were actually teaching about these theories. So let me just review. The three body types are endomorph, which is round, friendly, insecure, and eats too much. The mesomorph, which is muscular, adventurous, energetic, and direct in manner. And the ectomorph, which is really fragile, sensitive, fearful of groups, non-adventuresome, and they tend to worry a lot. So if you were to categorize yourself, where would you put yourself? And if you were to categorize your friends, would you divide up your friends according to whether they're an ectomorph or a mesomorph or an endomorph? We don't use those terms anymore anyway. But would you say that they're tall and thin, and so therefore I suspect they're going to be nervous or sensitive? Or you have to watch what you say to them because it's easy to get them upset? Or are they going to be like the mesomorph, They're going to love to have their pizza every Friday night. They're going to eat a lot. They're going to gain weight. They have kind of a roly-poly kind of a body type, but they're adventuresome. They're fun to be with. They laugh a lot, and you like them because they're just easy to be with. Or would you prefer the mesomorph, which would be the muscular type? Lots of muscle, lots of bone, very athletic. They are the runners, they are the football players, and so forth. So we would divide people up in that kind of way. And the sad part is that people have actually done that. They've actually set people up and they've categorized them. I think that the tragedy, but I think also it's a part of human nature, that we tend to classify people anyway. So how do you class them? I think as an exercise for yourself, it would be interesting for you just to take some time on your own and see how you feel about certain people. And are you kind of pegging them? Are you saying, well, it's this type or that type, or I wouldn't want to be like them because I think they're too fat or they're too thin, or maybe I couldn't get along with so-and-so because of this or that or the other? How are you categorizing your friends? How are you categorizing your relatives? And how do you fit in? How do you categorize yourself? We're always categorizing ourselves. And you've got to remember that the person who's tall and thin when they're young may be heavy-set when they're older, because age has a tendency of slowing down your metabolism and you start gaining weight. You still may be tall, but instead of being tall and thin, you're tall and heavy. How do you classify a person that's tall and heavy? How can you classify a person that's short and thin? According to these characteristics, according to what I've just told you, according to Sheldon's theory, it wouldn't fit. Can you have a short, heavy-set person that's very nervous and fragile that you don't dare to say too much about because, after all, they're nervous? Or can you get somebody that's tall and thin and you love to be with them because they're just as relaxed as can be and they have a lot of tendencies to go towards sports and they're not sensitive and they're not fragile, but they're tall and thin? So I think it's dangerous. I think it's always dangerous to try to categorize people according to temperament or according to body type or according to likes or dislikes. I think when we fall into relationships, when we have relationships, and that's the next thing I'm going to cover today, we tend to fall into our relationships on the basis of, do we like a person? Are they interested in the same things that we are? If I'm in a certain career, most of my friends are going to be people who are in that same kind of career. If I'm going to be a doctor, then most of my friends are going to be doctors or involved with the medical field in some way. If I'm going to be an engineer, most of my friends are also going to be engineers. And a lot of times we will have gone to school together, or we will have had a similar kind of education in different schools, and we're drawn to each other because there are things about us that are like another person. I know if a person's in nursing school, who are they going to be attracted to as friends? Well, other people that are also in nursing schools or who have graduated from nursing school. So it is friendships and liking people and disliking people. It's always a complicated issue because what is right for you, it seems right for you, but what is it based on? Is it based upon their education, their career, the similarities you have with them, the similar political views, the similar religious views? Just exactly how do you choose your friends? Or do you choose them at all? Maybe you just form a friendship because you just form a friendship and you're not aware of what caused it, what drew you to a person. It would be interesting if you took some time, just on your own, if you have the time to do it, to think about what draws you to certain people. Why do you like certain people? Why do you want to identify with certain people? What causes you to like them? What causes them to like you? I have a lot of friends, and I have friends all over the globe. And I don't see some of them. I don't see very much. But when I do see them, we just like each other as much as we always liked each other. And it's like we never parted. You know, I have friends that travel the globe. I have missionary friends that are always traveling. And when we get together, then it's like we never left each other. It's like we're just as friends as we ever were. And you need to know, I think it would be handy for you to know what draws you to other people, because then you can have more of an understanding of yourself and what kind of person you are and the kinds of people that you like. And also, what would cause you not to go toward a person? What would cause you to dislike a person and not want to be around them? You know, there's a lot of prejudice in this country, and so therefore, maybe it would be a race thing with you. Maybe you have some prejudice in terms of race, or it could be other things. It could be IQ. It could be anything. It could be wealth. It could be social standing. It could be anything. But I think most of us like other people according to what their personal characteristics are. So let me go into the thing about forming relationship. What kind of person are you? What kind of people do you like? And so why do you have certain relationships? So I would ask you, you know, do you like people? Do you like to be around them? Do you want people around you? Do you just put up with people because you have to, because you don't have any choice to? Are people a nuisance to you, or do you really like to be around them? You know, and if you can answer those questions, then you know socially what kind of a person you are. Or do you choose a place to live according to who else is living in that area? Or do you choose a place to live because of the educational qualities in that area? Are there schools nearby that you want your children to go to? So what part do your emotions play in terms of your relationships? Some people try to control other people's emotions. Are you a person that tries to control other people's emotions, or are you around people who try to control your emotions? Now, I say this about emotions. Whoever controls your emotions controls you. If you're around people that routinely make you angry, then they're controlling you. They're pushing your buttons. They're making you angry. Do you really want to have friendships with people who control you to the point where you're angry all the time, or you're upset all the time, or you don't want to have anything to do with them? If people can push your buttons, then they can make you do what they want you to do. Now, it happens a lot in marriages, too. A person knows how to push the buttons of his wife, or she knows how to push the buttons of her husband to get certain responses from them. And it's basically one person controlling another person in a marriage. Children do it to their parents. They know what makes their parents upset. They know what they can do to press the button of a parent to make them angry, or to make them loving, or to make them kinder. They know exactly what to do, because as they're learning and as they're growing, they're learning what their parents are like. They're learning what their friends are like. And they're learning what can change them and what can cause them to act differently or change what they're doing. And children do learn this. They can be manipulators as they grow up. Children can learn how to manipulate. So the advantage of being a manipulator for a person who is a manipulator is that they can make people do things that they want them to do and affect the outcome of a situation. Parents do it with their children all the time. You know, they want a certain outcome to a situation, so they manipulate their children to behave in a certain way. If anyone can make you angry, if anyone can make you depressed, if any person can manipulate you in any kind of way, then you know that they are controlling your emotions. It's an advantage to them, but it's not an advantage to you if your emotions are being manipulated in any kind of way. So if you can stop the manipulation, then you gain power for yourself. A lot of relationships are based on power. Now, we do have relationships that are based on love. We have relationships that are based on caring, and that's the way it should be. But some relationships are based on manipulation or power or wanting something from somebody and manipulating them in a certain way to get it. Not all marriages are based on love. Marriages can be based on other things as well, but they should be based on love. You know, the thing that makes a successful marriage, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating, the successful marriages I see are people who get married because they love each other and they want to be with each other, but they don't have to be with each other. People get married because they feel that their spouse is going to meet their needs, and that's not the right thing to get married. That's not the right reason to get married. Now, a spouse may meet your need, and that's important. That's a part of marriage, but that shouldn't be the reason for getting married. You should marry for one reason only, and the reason you should get married is the fact that you love somebody, and they love you back, and you'll stay right with them no matter what. And if you think of the future, you can't even think about being without them. And if something were to happen to them and they fell off a roof and became paraplegic, you would still love them and you would still stay with them. But you don't have to get married. It's a case of you can live by yourself, you can earn your own living, you can take care of yourself. You don't actually have a need to get married. You're getting married out of love, but not out of need. And therein lies the key. Relationships are successful if they're based upon you respecting a person and they respect you. But it's not based upon the fact that they're going to meet a need in you when you need to have that need fulfilled. And if you had that need fulfilled, you'd be happy. That's the wrong way to have a relationship. So what I'm saying about making friends is the same thing I'm saying about being married. You are friends with a person because you care for them, you like their characteristics, you get along well. But not because if you don't like them, you're still going to have a relationship with them because they can meet a need of yours. So your purpose in liking them or your purpose of being friends with them is so that they can fulfill a need. Now, would you like to have all your friends be friends with you because you can fulfill their need? Wouldn't it be better to have your friends like you because they just like you, because they just like your characteristics, they like who you are, and they love having you around? Isn't that more important than it is to have friends that are leaning on you so you can sustain them in some kind of way? In other words, what I'm saying is your friendship should be based on the fact that you have a caring relationship, not because you feel obligated to take care of them in some way. You may want to take care of them, and that's okay, but your friendship shouldn't be based on the fact that you have to take care of them and you can't get out of the relationship because they're depending so heavily on you that if you get out of the relationship, which is what you want to do, then somehow they're going to collapse because of it. You know, you just watch your relationships and see are you attracted to? Are you attracted to people who will fulfill your need? Are you attracted to people because you like them, because you care for them, because you want them as your friends? I know it seems like I am maybe overstating the case, but I just see too many relationships, excuse me, that fall apart. And they fall apart because the relationship is based on something that's not reasonable. And it's not sustainable. If you have two people getting married because they need each other, it's not just wanting each other, they need each other. Well, people change and they grow, and what the need was before is not now. So things change, and so the person who needed to be taken care of maybe doesn't want to be taken care of anymore. The person who needed to take care of them, and now they find that their wife or husband doesn't want them to take care of them. And I know it gets verbally, it gets a little verbally messy here, but that's the way it is. People grow and they change. Those who are caregivers, who needed to be caregivers, may not want to be anymore. In a relationship, people need to be free to grow and to change and to develop, and they shouldn't be hindered because somebody still needs them. And in a marriage situation, this is always qualified, of course, because I can't speak to a lot of marriage relationships, but in some relationships that involve marriage, people can't grow. And the idea is that in a good marriage, you should be able to grow. You should be able to support each other in your growth, and that is very, very freeing and very comforting. But then if something happens in a marriage and it's not so good anymore, then the growth immediately stops, the creativity stops, and all of the energy is invested in maintaining the relationship where it should be helping each other to grow and develop. And so I have, maybe this is a unique way of looking at relationships, but relationships are successful where you don't have to be in the relationship, but you're there because you want to be, not because you have to be. So I'm going to close it here, and we're going to go on with relationships and personalities and so forth next time. So we'll continue next time. Please join me then.